Hey there, fellow wargamers. It's your man. It's the Sentinel from across the tabletop, and the RTT is coming up soon. It's the Wednesday, so a few more days for the RTT at Twisted Dice. With Darren's running some brand new terrain sets with the brand new 10th edition terrain rules and terrain pack and tournament pack. So it's going to be our first 10th edition RTT game tournament. And I'm taking Imperial Fists, my beautiful yellow boys, the Space Marines, rocking the world, hopefully, and doing well with their oath of moments and all of their wonderful doctrines. So let's go and run through the list that I'm taking. I said I would. So here we go. Twisted dice. So the list. It's a Space Marine detachment. I wonder if I can blow this up a bit better. Can I go any view? No, this is alright, isn't it? Yeah, you can see this kind of cool. So yeah, Space Marines Imperial Fists Gladius Task Force. It's 995 points. It's close as I could have got. I've got Lysander as the Terminator captain as my Warlord because he's awesome and he's the first captain of the first company. So why not let him lead the army? Frustrating, and I know I just want to. I want to point this out because this upset me. This did. So let's go quickly to Lysander's profile. Now, Lysander is a Terminator captain. So he's a captain in Terminator armor. He is the captain of the first company. He's one of our greatest epic heroes within the Imperial Fists lore. And he has been around for a very long time within the lore itself. So what I find frustrating is he, in his imagery and through the whole of the time that he's been a captain, has had the ability to take a storm shield. Now, originally when you took Lysander, you had his relic that you took. He had a storm shield, and then you were able to give him a relic storm shield, which gave him the 3 Pinvon shield unwavering. It was an old relic in, like, I want to say 6th and 7th edition. So he always had the option to take a storm shield, and then you give him the relic storm shield. And then it was a relic on top of that would give him a 5 feel no pain and things like that. Now, as you can see here, he's armed in the picture. Let me zoom in, just make sure if anybody wants to pass this on to GW. He's armed in the picture with a storm shield. A very special Imperial Fist storm shield. You know, he's got the icon. The icon is what sits on the top of him. We've got the rampart. Once per battle, at any start of any phase, this model can use this ability. If it does until the end of that phase, this model has a 2 Pinvon. Now that's to do with his resilience, because he's so hard to kill. Been around for so long. He was in. It was kept as a prisoner in the Iron Hand's cage, one of their worlds, for so long, and he escaped. That's why he's got a 2 Pinvon, because he's really hard. Weapons. He's got the thunder hammer. Always had a thunder hammer. Let's go down to his war gear. Quickly, epic hero. This model is equipped with the Fist of Dorn. That's it. Where's his storm shield? Where is his storm shield? Why does this unit not have the model equipped with a storm shield? I don't get it. He has a storm shield on his model. He's profiled with a storm shield. He has for the last 10 years, and not on the model equipped. This is an issue because storm shields now give you an extra wound. Without it being on the data sheet, he's only got 6 wounds. If you go to a Terminator captain, bog standard one, which is about here, that's a lieutenant. Dope. Let's go captain in Terminator armor. Come on, Gravis, Standard Primaris. Oh yeah, Primaris, Gravis. There it is. Okay, captain here. Relic shield. The bearer has a wound characteristics of 7. So he starts with 6, same as Lysander, because it's a Terminator captain. Captain in Terminator armor. You give him a relic shield or a storm shield, and he gets an extra wound. And it's the same with the Terminators, the assault Terminators. If you give the assault Terminators a storm shield thunderhammer, they get an extra wound. Why on earth have GW missed this about one of their epic heroes? If you know, I am really upset that Lysander himself has a storm shield model, has for the last 10 years, not been given it, so therefore he only has 6 and not 7. So please, GW, please just add the fact that he has a storm shield. Yeah, it doesn't change anything. It just gives him an extra wound. Yeah, he's had one for 10 years. Okay, so that he's going to be leading my forces. I'm going to attach him to the assault terminators to give him the -1 to wound, because that's the incredible ability that he has on there while he's leading. Followed by a chaplain in Terminator armor. Again, going to be leading another Terminator. I've given him the enhancement of bolter discipline. It's going to be the shooty one, so therefore it just gives him a little bit more punch in the shooting. And then Tor Garadon with his Artificer's gun and his Hand of Defiance. Again, this is just his bog standard stuff. I've really found him to be a clutch character against the Tyranids monster build and against the Knights build. He's not really done much against someone who's just bringing a random couple of vehicles. But on the when someone's leaning heavily towards the monster vehicle build, Tor Garadon has definitely been a key clutch model in the army. Then we have an Eradicator squad for him to be attached to. It's only a 3-man. It's just extra bodies for him to get to where he needs to get to. I have put the Multi-melta in there because of the extra shot that you get from it. They reroll everything against their preferred target, which is enemy tanks and monsters. So hitting on 3 to hitting on 4 with a reroll is about the same anyway. So extra shot is just meaningful. Then we have the Gladiator Reaper. I like this. Doesn't quite work within the army with the army build that I've made, but I still just like the fact that it can come out of the shadows behind a ruin and take down 10 bodies of light infantry very, very easily. So it's got the armor tracks, which is really nice for hitting in combat. So it's like 4 attacks at strength 6 or something like that. And then the Icarus rocket pod for the anti-fly vehicle stuff. The heavy stubber. The Tempest bottles are nice with the AP1 on them still. Yeah, no twin linked, but they are rapid fire 4, so that's nice. And then we've got the twin heavy onslaught Gatling, again nice at 12 shots, strength 6, no AP, but we do get the devastating wounds re-rolling because it's twin linked. So this is incredible. And we got the sustained hits 2 against infantry. So this is where I'm saying, like, this model itself will pick up 10 light infantry because of the sustained hits 2 on the Gatling, and just goes bruh. So I found it really clutch, really nice. So Hellblaster squad, I've been running it. I'm running the point system at 120, 125 as the Devastators. I liked the devs, but they only had one target. It was the grav unit I was using it as, and they didn't really do anything against anybody else but vehicles. And then when it did fire into the vehicles, they still only AP1. So most of the time they were getting 3 or 4 up saves. So it wasn't really making enough impact, and where the plasma just hits everything quite nicely. At the moment, target's still happy. When they die, they get to fire again. The flexibility of the advance over the Devastators. I just found that having the Hellblasters so far in the last few games have been a little bit more impactful on the game than the Devastators. So they're in, and the Devastators are out for now. We'll see how that goes in the future, though. Moving on to the big bad boys, we've got the Land Raider Crusader, again just to transport the Tor Garadon to the right place at the table, and then the massive amount of shots this puts out. The twin assault cannon, 6 shots, not much, but it's twin linked. Storm Bolter, Multi-melta, the Hurricane Bolters, which are absolutely phenomenal. Hunter Killer Missile and armor tracks. The Hurricane Bolters are just not insane, but they are really good at rapid fire 6. There's boards a little bit smaller. You put it in a position. There's only certain places on the board with the train that we're running at the moment that you can deploy. So essentially, it's in the middle of the board turn 1, and then tagging most things by turn 2 with the Hurricane bolts at 24 shots, twin linked rapid fire 6. So really, really good little platform to kill anything really. Redemptor, I found this to be a little bit over pointed at 225. We know why, because it's got an extra armor save now, so it's 2 save. And I think 180 would probably be too cheap for it, but I think 200 would probably be where it needs to be at somewhere. It's got the... I've given it the little auto assault cannon, not the heavy flamer, so I need to change that. But yes, so it's got the assault cannon, Gatling cannon. I've given it the plasma. I don't know why that's on there. I have rawly messed it up. So it's got the plasma and not the heavy onslaught Gatling. Redemptor Fist, twin frag launcher, and it's just that big plasma platform at the back that can kill Terminators. It's my damage 3 platform with a 2-up save. Terminator Assault Squad. I've gone with the 5 lightning claws and 5 thunder hammers with storm shields, just to give myself some punching power into the light infantry, as well as the thunder hammers punching the medium infantry. They still are not great at taking out the heavy infantry, so other Terminators are not brilliant at, especially the chaos ones. They also don't like to hit vehicles, even though they've got the devastating wounds with the thunder hammers. They're not fantastic at hitting vehicles, but they are very tanky in the middle. So if you haven't got devastating wounds to hit them back, they do stick around a lot longer than expected, as Lysander has the -1 to wound them. Armor Contempt, taking cover, that 2-up save really helps there, and the extra wound on the Thunderhammer Storm Shield dudes going up to 4 really sucks. The Redemptor shooting, that flat 3 damage shooting that's coming in, 1 or 2 goes through, you're only killing 2 Terminators instead of 4. So they do soak up a hell of a lot of firepower. Then we've got the other Terminators, the shooty ones. So we've gone with 10 shooties. Sergeant's got powered weapon. I'd like to see that change, because it's not... I mean, unfortunately now the Sergeants are like the first ones to die, because they don't really matter in the squads anymore. Then we've got the 9 of the dudes. I've got 2 assault cannons in there. And then I've got 2 chain fists attached to assault cannons, so they're probably going to be my last to go. 7 power fists, which is really nice, because that means that that's 21 attacks without any modifiers, with the Chaplain leading them with a +1 to wound, is really nice. It really does punch quite hard with the +1 to wound from the Chaplain in Terminator armor. Again, this unit is being led by the Chaplain, which has the Bolt of Discipline, so any 6s will become sustained hits. So the 12 assault cannon shots, you're rolling 1 or 2 6s, you drop in 1 or 2 shots, so you're ending up with like 10 to 12 hits. And then in the Devastator Doctrine, you can then increase that, give them the extra AP, and then they can ignore cover as well. So the assault cannons really start to pop off, especially if they're into oath as well, hitting on 2s, re-rolling to find the 5s and 6s for the explosions, and then look fishing for the 6s for the devastating wounds is really nice. You can average about 6 mortal wounds from the 2 assault cannons then, plus then about 5 more armor saves. So I'm really enjoying this little unit here for its killing power in shooting and in combat. I'm tempted to change this Terminator unit around slightly. I think I might lean towards more of the Eradicators with the Biologus and Tor Garadon in the future for its lethal hits and sustained hits there, because it's just more efficient at that stage. So here we go there. So that's the army. That's maxed out at 1995. Very quick run through of it itself. So let's go. This is the tournament I'm going to. Twisted Dice RTT on this Saturday 22nd. This is the match. Leighton Buzzard at the Legion down there itself. We've got some timing, so 8:30 sign in, some emails, car park, yeah, just information, how to park and where to go. The running time, it's the 22nd of, so it needs to be, it's the wrong date, but all the dates 8:30 is fine. Should be finished by 6. Tournament guidelines, some rule packs. What I'm trying to get to is this one here. So round 1, we're going to be playing the Crucible of battle. So it's basically going to be long edge deployments essentially. So I'm quite enjoying this one, the short edge deployments. This has got some flexibility in where I deploy. And then vital ground. So what we've got hidden, and then chilling range. So there's no extra rules. So this is, if you control the objective marker in your own, you get 2 for each, and no man's land 5, and then your enemy is 6. Yeah, so this is hold your own. You get 2 points for the whole game, so that's 8 points if no one takes it. And then it's just trying to get no man's land, which are 3, so you can get a maximum of 15 there, so 17. And then the 6 points in the opponent's deployment zone as well, so that's 20, 23, yeah, 15, 17, 23 points a turn if you can hold all the primary. It's a 50-point primary. You get 50 points if you can hold primary and 40 for secondary. So this one has very potential to score well on the primary on this game. So I'm hoping to do well at this one. Doesn't look like a lot with the units I have. What's that? 1, 2, 3, I think 7 units. Yeah. Redemptor, Land Raider, the 2 Terminator squads, the Hellblasters, and then there's 3 characters. That's 8. Is that right? I think that's right. I see that's 8, maybe 10. Let's go. So you got Redemptor, Land Raider with 2 Terminator squads. Oh, the Hellblasters. Yeah, the Hellblasters, the Eradicators, and then the 3 characters. So it's 9 squads. So I've got 9 squads. So it doesn't look like I've got a lot of squads on the units on the table, but they're quite large. They're flexible in the fact that they're resilient and they can be hit hard. And 1 unit doesn't have any shooting, so if they need to do actions, Hellblasters, Redemptors. Oh, I've got the Gladiator, so it's 10 units. It doesn't, you know, the 10 units on the table actually are quite resilient in their all round. So that's the round 1, and I believe they put a slight so they put the train on. We're using very similar to the UK ITC terrain sets. He's been working really hard to make sure enough of the terrain is all different, it all functions, it's all very similar, so it's a fair amount of terrain that's on all the tables that are unique but fair in the size and what they look like. I've seen some of the stuff that Darren's been doing in his workshop, and they look absolutely amazing. So that's round 1. So yeah, so if you haven't seen what these do, these are all ground floor line of sight blocking, and then second floor you'll be able to see if they've got windows and things like that. So we've got the small L's that, you know, have got the train features with the perspex, and then we've got the big L's at the back, and then you've got the smaller ones with no windows anymore because of the size. So they're acting a bit like giant walls or giant ISO containers essentially. This is going to be key for those close combat armies to be able to be in the right position at the right time to be able to function on the table. So this is going to be really, really good, especially as half my army is 1,000 points of my army is to do with combat with the Terminators. Even Tor Garadon, when you think about that, so it's like 1,200 points just to do combat, and then 800 points to be really, really effective in the shooting. So hopefully we can do well. We've got a lot of cover from all the terrain pieces. We can get out of our area behind walls and things like that, and make it to the objectives to be really effective in this game. So that's game 1. Round 2, we've got Dawn of War, so standard sort of mission, deployment zone. We've got Scorched Earth, so this is at the end of each command phase. The players whose turn it is scores 5 victory points for each objective marker they control, up to a maximum of 10. This is a very... You hold 1 in no man's land, you hold your own, and you're getting 10 points per turn, to a maximum of 50. So this is going to be quite tricky to do, because you can only realistically players turn it up to a maximum of 10 per turn. It's only a 40-point game. 2 for 10, 20, 30, 40. Even though primary is 50, you can only score 40 on this one. And each player each player scores 5 victory points if 1 or more objective markers in no man's lands were burnt by a unit from their army, and 10 victory points if the objective marker in the opponent's deployment zone was burnt. So to get the 50 points, you have to be able to do an action on the objective, sit there until the end of your opponent's turn, and burn it out of existence. So if that unit is within 1 inch of the objective marker, that the players whose turn it is controls that objective marker is burned and removed from the battlefield, and then is no longer able to be used. So it's an action, and then you've got to wait till your opponent's next turn. Yeah, you're at the start of your controlling player's next command phase. So you move on to the objective, you burn the objective, and then you've got to wait till your next command phase to take that objective off the table. And once you've done that, it's removed from battle, and then you can't there's no more points to be scored on it. That's the only way to get to 50. Hopefully we won't have to do any of that, and we'll just keep scoring the points, and we'll just try and do the secondaries. We'll see how that goes though. Then we've got mission targets. In this mission, if a player is using tactical missions, then each time the player determines the second. So you pull 3 and you select 2. Yeah, so you pull 3 and you select 2. This is really, really good. I quite like this one because it gives you that, oh, I've pulled 3 cards, I'm not going to be able to choose that one, let's make sure I get these 2 and then put 1 back. I think this would have been, I think I would have liked this overall on the tactical doctrines if this was tactical missions, if this was a staple, if this was part of the actual way you played the game. Pull 3, you have to complete 2, and you put 1 back in the deck, and then you continue to play like that, because I think that would have given the flexibility of being the commander on the ground and not just being dictated by a deck of cards what you have to do. Having the ability to do that, I think, would be better. Okay, that's round 2, and again, it's given us a little bit of a key idea of where he wants the terrain to be. It's very similar to the old ones with, what was the mission called? Abandoned Sanctuary. But of course, now the terrain works slightly different. Some of the pieces have been moved into different places to facilitate the functionality of the game a little bit better. And the objectives have moved slightly, because this used to be a little bit, what's that, 10, 12, I think it was 10 inches. 15, it used to be 15, so it's a bit further towards the edge of the board now than it ever used to be. But hey ho, we're going to love it. It's going to be a good tournament. And then finally, round 3 is going to be search and destroy. So 5 objectives to corner deployments. And this one is move the objective markers closer to your opponent. So we're doing a tug of war, but opposite directions. Basically, we've got this servo skull or this crate, whatever you want to think about it, or information that we're trying to push into the opponent's deployment zone to make it go boom. In this mission, if a player controls an objective, so this has got sticky objectives. Now, I played this one last night with a friend of mine who's also playing Marines at the moment, Salamanders, Chris. And the fact that the sticky objectives are crucial in this is immense. It means that you can, because you move them at the end of each battle round, and also you stay in control of it if you're on it in the command phase. And the way that the wording is, if you control it, then you can move it. So essentially, you can go onto an objective, sit on your command phase, move off the objective in your movement phase, charge something, and then if you're still in control of it, as in the enemy hasn't moved onto it whilst your turn is, and there's no, you can move it. You can just move it away from the enemy and then block it with another set of units in front, and then charge something to slow it down while you move the objectives, and then just hopefully be able to screen the objective out so you can just keep on pushing it into the enemy's deployment zone. It was really, really clever. This is also really nice with some secondaries as well. So there is a secondary that's like capture your enemy outpost, and it's 8 points. Now, all it says is that the objective has to be in your opponent's deployment zone. So you could potentially pull that card, move the objective at the end of the turn into your opponent's deployment zone, and then score that one, because now the objective is in your opponent's deployment zone and you've controlled it with nobody on it because you've got sticky, which is really cool. There's really nice little things you can do on this. Essentially the same again if it's got a no man's land one. Potentially you could have all of these objectives in deployment zones, and therefore you can't score a tempting target because there's nothing in no man's land. And also again, that would reduce as well to the number of objectives in no man's land when the card is pulled. You might only have one card that you have to choose in no man's land, one objective, because it's the only one in there. So there's some really cool little things you can do with this if you can just manage to get on it correctly. The downside is I'm using the mats, and once you've got a mat on the terrain and you're trying to move it, it becomes quite difficult when there's 10 Terminators on it and a piece of terrain and something else. So I think when I come to play this one, I'll have the map to it originally to start, and then I'll put a little token on it, I think, and I'll move the token. And if we might have to take the mat off then, because it just becomes very difficult to take off the mat, move it 6, put it back down, and remember exactly the position of every model, every terrain piece. And it just slows down the game a little bit. So we will see how that one goes. So that's all the missions. That's all my criteria. And then that's the deployment. Now we put the terrain down, we put the pieces down, and the gaps are actually a little bit closer than they look on here. Found it quite hard to maneuver the... I found it really difficult to get the Land Raider to be... I had to put the Land Raider here essentially, because if I put it here it's really difficult to get out, put it here it's really difficult to get out. So essentially it has to sit here, which is a bit frustrating, but hey, and that's the way it sits there, and it can go up here then or come to the middle. It's really difficult to get through some of these gaps with it because of how wide with the Hurricane bolters, but we'll manage. That's the point of taking large vehicles. Okay, so that is the missions, that is the tournament, that is my list. yeah, so this is just them telling about, and this is what the terrain looks like. Like I said, some of these are he's handmade himself in his garage, which is really cool. Then we've got the standard ITC sort of stuff. Again, looking unique. All the GW stuff he's got there. Amazing terrain, and again, just confirming that the large shapes and how they work vertically and things like that. So I'm really pleased with some of these terrain features that he's done. Yeah, you got to give it to him. And then the award ceremony and code of conduct, so it'd be nice. Yeah, it's only a bit of fun. We're just rolling some dice. Don't lose it with everybody. Okay, so that's my list. That's my tournament. That's what I'm looking forward to this weekend, and I am looking forward to throwing some down. Just a note, I've just quickly brought this up. So this is the new way that they're ruling the deploy servo skulls, which is just mean that if you've got an objective in your opponent's deployment zone and then one outside it and then one further away, you don't take 8, 5, 2, you just take the top one. So the idea is you want to try and keep all of them going at the same time, like pushing all of it at the same time, or just trying to squeeze one in and then trying to defend one. So it's a little bit more of a pull and pull type of game, which is really interesting when it comes to these sort of games, as that is something completely new and different. Okay, and I'll leave it there, I think. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you thought some of the stuff was fun and interesting, and let me know what you're taking in your tournaments and what you think is good at the moment. And just drop us in the comment. Still working on the new Lysander model with the new Terminator Captain. Just trying to work out how to do the hammer. Shield's done. Just got loads of bits from my bit box, and I'm just breaking down like power fists to try and fill them down to see if I can get them to be the what's in the middle. I've got hammers that I've stripping and cutting and trying to stick together to see if I can get the feel of the new bigger hammer that I want him to carry around. And that's about it then. So thanks for sticking around, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you all in the next one. And take care, and bye bye.